Hello everybody, my name is Eric Terramelons, and today we're going to be taking a look at Intelligent Systems Fire Emblem Fates Corrin Nohr. She's a 1/7 scaled figure, and my goodness. If you'd like to see the unboxing of this figure, be sure to check out my description. I actually have a link in there where I do like a whole unboxing of her and a couple of other figures. Just look at how imposing this figure is. Oh my goodness. Weaving a dream like thoughts become a river stream. This base right here is so awesome. It's just, oh my goodness. Intelligent Systems, this is really nice. It's all in plastic, but we have a faux marble design, which is really well done. On the top, we have kind of a cheap felt material, but the figure doesn't really rub against it, so you're not going to have to deal with it falling apart on you. We have a beautifully and professionally done Nohr motif in the center, and then they went the extra mile and added in all this cool, transforming energy of power, all in a dark purple. It looks absolutely fantastic. This is such a cool base for something that's so simple. When we look under the base, it's really hollowed out, and I have to say that the plastic feels incredibly cheap and thin. Because if you ever drop this figure, she feels much more solid than the base itself. That being said, the base is still wide enough and hefty enough to be able to make sure that she's not wobbling whatsoever. Hardly any wobbling at all. Her feet are actually glued to the transparent plastic that we have here that pegs into the base using fairly thick plastic pegs, but it's plastic nevertheless. On the one hand, I hate the fact that it's plastic because it's really not solid. But on the other hand, the fact that they went with plastic makes it so that when she's injected into this base, it really looks like all the pieces are transparent. Regardless, she still fits in there very well, and as long as you take care of this figure, there's nothing to really worry about. She's going to be fine. It's not like it's going to slide out. It really gets plugged in there nicely. She just walks around barefoot everywhere, and I guess, you know, it's a life choice, it's a style, it's a vibe. Personally, I'd have so much trouble with this, but I have like little dainty feet that like the slightest little rock, and I'm like, no, that hurts. Kudos to you, dragging Corrin, who can just walk on anything everywhere she goes. I'm going off topic. The feet are okay. I like the idea that they put a bit of personality into her toes where they're actually not just perfectly centered, they're kind of splayed and moving around. This is really nice, but on the offhand, her right pinky toe is a little larger than every other toe. It's not the same thing on her left side, which is kind of frustrating. We get a clear gloss paint going across the tips of the toes to give off those nail vibes, and the whole thing is just okay. However, it's so small, and on a shelf, you're not going to notice any of this. Strapped to these feet are her awesome, amazing, thigh-high, crotchless, armored chaps. Down at the bottom, we have these gorgeous little clips that go all into the armored piecing of her leg. The front has these gorgeous golden designs. They don't miss a beat here, where we hardly have any kind of paint runoff. Everything really looks the way it's supposed to look here, much like in the video games. I'm a fan of all these sharper edges. I just think it's kind of cool. One thing I'm going to mention that I really love is in the back of her leg, behind her knee, there's a different type of material and a different texture than the actual armor, so it seems like she's wearing some sort of spandex or something that's softer that can bend while running around and doing the things that she does. This is so cool because I'm always a fan of different textures, and this figure just has different textures going on so flipping well. The gold is decently reflective, though it's still matte. We have big, chunky gold portions here that look really nice. Then we have this pink strap that kind of goes underneath the inside of her leg. The little clips holding these straps together are exquisite, and the pink is a really nice look. Afterwards, we get kind of a different material with a little semicircle cutout made in the same type of matte black that we had seen on the back of her legs. So this is the material that she's wearing under her armor, and this is a very spicy look for her. This same design goes along the back of her behind, and my goodness, it's so spicy. Yup. Her skin here is incredibly soft. We don't get a lot of highlights, but we do get a little bit of shading here and there. They put a lot of work on the skin showing here as well, where you can see that the sculpt work is very immaculate, but due to her design being all in black, every point of skin that pops out is such a focal point on this figure. Corrin is getting you to look at what she wants you to look at, while she slashes your head off in the heat of battle because you're too distracted. She's wearing a black bathing suit bottom. It's nice. It's very matte. We don't have any highlights or shading or anything across it. but this kind of matches up well with other parts of this type of material and texture that are used throughout the whole figure. And now we get into her torso armor, which is like, wow. Like the armor from her legs, it is pearlized, gorgeous, black with a tint of gray so that it feels like you get these nice highlights and shading just from the lighting that you would have in your everyday home. The decoupage on this armor is phenomenal, and I love the callback of the pinkish magenta that we have on the sides here to what she has going on the inside of her legs. It almost feels like this design is full of teeth. And then her chest armor just looks so regal and elegant. Incredibly vampiric. Honestly, this whole figure just screams vampire to me. And that's just awesome. Her armor along the back actually has these awesome spine metallic golden chunks that all connect to each other and go into a spike at the end. Kind of like a wasp, or if she was a dragon, you could almost think that you could ride on her back. Like that looks like the piece that would come off the end of your chair. Very interesting design. It looks very beautiful, but it's hard to get a good look at it. Even my taking photos of it was really not easy. You're not gonna necessarily see this. The pose that she's taking with her tippy toes and the way that she's leaning forward and the fact that her stomach all comes outwards, her back is an incredibly strong curve and indentation. This could turn some people off. Just keep in mind this character's not human. She's a dragon person, and that over-accentuating that spine curve really gives off this effect that feels very imposing and really like, what? Ah, my back! She has this epic left shoulder pauldron shield, and it looks so cool. Looking at it from upside down, it kind of makes me think of the Star Wars Rebels Alliance logo, but it's very beautiful. It kind of pops out a little much for me, especially the way you can see the plastic peg going into her shoulder. I think that this should have been multiple bolts or something that just looked a little more armor created that seems more regal. But as long as you're not getting in there and looking under everything, you're not really going to pay attention to this or notice it. This shoulder armor goes right into a couple of clips that she has, and these clips look amazing, and they go into her incredibly beautiful cape. Oh my gosh! This cape. The shading on this thing is nuts. It's so beautiful. We don't have any highlights, but that's totally okay, because the fact that they just use shading on everything on this figure just makes her seem darker, and that really works for her design. It's so beautifully and elegantly sliced up here and there. We have a couple of mold lines, but because of the way that everything is shaped, curved, and ripped apart, they're not that noticeable unless you're really checking this figure for those lines in particular. The sculpt on the fabric is really nice and very cartoony. There aren't too many sharp lines, but we get so many beautiful stretches and folds into this fabric from the outside as well as the inside. It's a beautiful and extremely dynamic cape. It just flaying all around her is like, wow, that's so pretty. And at the back of this cape, we actually have this beautiful emblem of the Nohr family. It's like a metallic armored piece, and it's gorgeous, and the logo is actually sculpted on, which really surprised me because the odds of us seeing this are so incredibly low. Depending on how you're displaying her, you would need a mirror, and even then, maybe a mirror on a side angle. You're not going to see it. They could have just made this a print, but they went the extra mile and they sculpted it, and it looks really gorgeous. We then have this regal vampiric neck piece, very piratey, high class. It's beautifully sculpted, and we have some gorgeous shading on this as well. It's nicely layered, and I really love the folds that we get all across. The gem in the middle has a beautiful gradient and actually looks like a gorgeous gem. I'm surprised at how nice this gem is. Her chest, while being very robust, me working on growing that thesaurus of mine, is still very contained within her armor. It doesn't feel like too much, but it is still showing off, as much as a vampiric queen would. Her right arm has gorgeous armor plating, and I love that we see the material from the inside, and it's a gorgeous kerfluffly fluffled white that matches up with her neck piece. The wrist is very thin, and then the glove is massive, which just looks so cool, with some epic knuckles on there where she just punch you and your jaw would just rip off. And this epic super armored chonky hand is holding this super gorgeous sword. This thing is beautiful. I love how well it's designed. It's a nice matte gold, similar to the rest of the golds on her, but the detail and engraving work in the sculpt here is just phenomenal. The handle is crazy beautiful, and as we get down into the blade, they actually put these little red transparent plastic pieces into it. It's not just painted on. They look beautiful. As for her left arm, we get to see a little bit of the spike at her elbow. Design that we get in her wrist piece has like a little shark fin on it, which matches up nicely with the little spikes that we have on her knees. And here we get an open splayed hand that looks really terrific with different material on the inside of the hand that matches up in texture with the other softer parts on her suit. So it feels like she can move it around and no trouble. And we get this epic little gem that she's holding. This clearly allows her to turn into a dragon. It looks awesome. I believe there's a cute little Gengar or Pokemon inside. Just joking, but it kind of looks like that. The gem is so nicely done, and the tiny little design you see inside isn't just a picture or a cutout, it's three-dimensional. Wow, okay, just put tons of quality in everything, why don't you? Her face, for me, is personally a little bit plain. She's got like a stoic look going on. I guess you could say that she's probably lost in thought and all alone, but it looks like in the video game, so I can't complain about that. Kind of pointy, the design is a little long, she's got a longer than usual pointy nose, and the profile on the side really goes in where we then end up having the lips and everything on there. The anatomical structure almost feels a little bit more Western in its design, mixed with a little bit of the Eastern anime look. She has these adorable pointy ears, dragon ear kind of design to them, almost looks a little webbed. Her eyes are incredibly soft, and I think I would have liked to see a little bit of gloss over the actual eyeball part. I always like when they do that because the little bit of reflectiveness you get kind of makes it pop a bit more. And because everything here pops so much, it would have been nice, especially considering that her eyelashes, they didn't make them a solid black, they went to go for like a soft color. If it was black, it would have matched up with the rest of the black on her armor. Her eyes would have looked far more imposing as they really popped out so much more on this figure. Her hair is an ocean of waves, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. It's so thick, chunky, and just intertwined and weaved all over the place. I am kind of speechless about how nice this is. There's some areas where I would have liked to have seen deeper groove here and there, but overall, it's beautiful. All we get on the hair is shading, not really any kind of highlights. I think I would have liked to see that kind of anime shine cutout highlight here or there. I think it would have made parts of her hair kind of stick out to one another had they done this. Because much like her face, her hair can come off a little bit bland. But I'm really just like nitpicking at this point because it's so expertly done and it's so beautiful. She has this cute little Spider-Man Gwen Stacy band over her head. This actually adds a bit of a cuteness factor to this incredibly imposing figure, where there's this adorable little clip on the left side that's expertly sculpted and very well painted. After the storm stills its wake, may all be blessed. This figure upon her release was going for 26,000 yen. That's pretty much on point for figures in today's day and age. She looks absolutely incredible, and they put so much work into her that I do think that she's worth that. Would she be worth more on the secondary market? Well, that depends on how much you love Corrin, and if they end up releasing a clone figure of her in her birthright outfit, then people will be going nuts for this older one. I played a ton of Fire Emblem games in my life, but I've never played this one because it came at a point in time in my life when I was just way too busy with school full-timing it and work full-timing it. I didn't have the time to purchase 2 games or 3 games to be able to just know. But it doesn't change the fact that I love the design and the look of almost everything to this game. It's so cool. The whole villain aspect, vampiric design, super dynamic, imposing, and cute little hairband look is so awesome. And this base is just like, take notes, regular black base figures. This is how you do it. And I guarantee you this doesn't cost nearly as much as one would think. Heck, I would have taken it without all the energy on the outside. That's like an added bonus. This, for me, should be considered the minimal effort. And when you look at this figure, it kind of transports your perspective of it just because of how regal this is. It makes her look like a high-end, good quality figure. And let's not forget that the rest of this figure is incredibly high quality as well. She looks absolutely fantastic. Hopefully this video helped you decide if you're still on the fence about getting her or not. If you are going to get her, or you did get her, what is it that you like the most about this figure? What captivated you to get her in particular? Are you like me, where you know nothing about the game, it's just the design speaks to you? Or are you somebody that 100% completed this game and you are super hyped for this figure and you just love Corrin as a character? Be sure to write that down in the comment section because I'd love to know. If you like my video just a little bit, it doesn't cost much to slash that like button. Allow your hands to brought the moral by clicking that subscribe. And Dragon Rage on that bell! You never know when I'm going to come out with sweet new figure reviews, and it's always fun to get caught up, right? You don't want to miss out on something cool in the future. All this goes a crazy long way at helping support my channel. Thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye! Join in the tale in the blight of conquest and lies. Come the sun to tarnish in the sky. Vow that we shall tear the light. Dark seize the throne. Everyone together now. Lost in thoughts, all alone.